Go ahead and get started tonight. Thanks for being here. Tonight we have the privilege of Leah Owens being with us. And Leah has had to burn up the roads to get here. And you said you're from Athens?
Yeah, I live in Athens, yes.
Athens, yeah. So she'll have a nice little ride home on the way too. So if you would, let me lead us in a prayer, and then we'll get started. Lord Jesus, thank you for tonight, and thank you for the privilege and the opportunity to host Leah. As she comes to share with us some things as moms and dads and grandparents that will be good tools for us. I pray, God, that tonight you would use her. Thank you for her willingness to come and be with us in such a long drive. I pray, God, that tonight will be fruitful for us. I pray, God, will be helpful for us, edify, build us up. God, you help us to use these tools to become the people that you want us to be. God, we yield our time to you, Lord, for you to speak to us.
Well, thank you for allowing me to be here today. The drive wasn't that bad. I cranked up the praise music and just had a good worship time on the way over here. I did get a little concerned when I got to the road that I was supposed to turn, and it said Boogie Bottoms this way. I just had to I text Michael. I said, "What have you gotten me into? Where are you sending me?" No. So I am a counselor with Pathways Professional Counseling, which is a ministry of the Children's Home, and I actually am fortunate enough that I get to be in the Decatur office 4 days a week. I started out somewhere different every day, and was able to get on that campus 4 days to be able to see the kids, and I see all community. I don't just see folks. I see my youngest just turned 3. And my oldest is 75. So I see the majority of my clients are kids and teenagers just because that's just where we are right now. And all of us have waiting lists, and it's just the way it is. My son, when I have 3 sons, they're all grown, 2 daughter-in-laws and 2 grandsons. So I have 3 sons and 2 grandsons, and boys are wonderful, and you can survive them, and I love them. So one of my sons texted me a while ago because he had helped me do PowerPoint. He had changed it to ProPresent or something because he didn't know if PowerPoint would work here. And so they saw all this stuff up here, and they said, "Donna, that's just too much." And I said, "It just is what it is. Listen to your mama. This is only because Pathways and the Children's Home provides the people that work with them with the best opportunities and the best education. If I were in private practice or I was somewhere else, I would have never had the opportunities." And I said, "That and $1 will get you a cup of coffee, right? It doesn't matter." I said, life and some of this has kind of got me where I am now. I graduated in 1989 with my bachelor's degree and didn't do anything with it but get married and raise kids. So wonderful. I wouldn't change it for the world. So I didn't go back and get my master's degree till I was in my 40s, and I've been with the Children's Home about 14 or 15 years. So I guess I'm a late bloomer. However, I had experienced a lot of life by the time I got there, and I think it made me a lot more compassionate, a lot more understanding. And had walked in a lot more shoes than I had walked in when I got out, when I was earlier. And I am still learning. And the kids keep me somewhat young. I'm about to be 60, and I am not ashamed to admit that. I'm thrilled that I made it there. So anyway, we're going to talk about emotional health. I don't want to step on anybody's what they've done in the past and what coming up, and I just looked and saw the next Laura. When she comes, I think she's doing some stuff on social media. I've got some stuff in here about that, but because she's doing that, I don't want to hang out there. I told them I have a lot. This is weighted and heavy. There's no way I'm going to be able to get through all that, but I wanted you to have resources that you could go back and look at. So when I walk out, you don't remember anything, you've got some resources in your hand. Do you think, what's the population? Are y'all pretty mixed tonight? Babies, toddlers, elementary, middle, high school, college? Are we all of them? Okay. What am I seeing? What do you think? It's just a good mix in here tonight? Okay. I do want to run through kind of quickly. So if you have any questions, emotional health is the foundation for the ability to learn, connect, and thrive. It's the ability to understand, express, and manage emotions in a way that supports overall well-being, relationships, and daily functioning appropriately for their age. We all want that for our kids. How do we get that? Y'all, the world that we live in now, it's harder and harder every day because they get so much thrown at them. Just since my kids have been out of high school in the last 5 years, it's crazy what all is that they're having to deal with. So why does emotional health matter? Because it's going to help them succeed academically and socially. It's going to help them form meaningful relationships. It's going to help them show curiosity, motivation, and confidence, handle stress. They have stress, adversity and challenges, and develop into emotionally intelligent adults. What I see, of course, I don't get people in my office are usually, by the time they get there, we're kind of in a crisis, right? But I do know what I'm seeing coming into my office with parents and with kids. This is a statistic that I actually think some of these are higher, but in all, they're scary. And I think this is maybe a year or two old. It says in the past, oops, I'm not doing my job. I used to have somebody doing it for me. I'm sorry. Okay, I'm so sorry. That's why you have it in front of you. In the past 15 years, 1 in 5 children has mental health problems. I think the next one's higher. 1 in 40, what's that got? 43, there's a 43% increase in ADHD, 37 increase in teenage depression. I think both of those are higher. This is the scary one. A 200% increase in the suicide rate in children aged 10 to 14 has been noticed. It says, according to the CDC, 1 in 5 children ages 3 to 17 have been diagnosed with a mental, emotional, or behavioral disorder, highlighting the widespread nature of the issue and the need for expanded resources and early intervention. And it's not getting better. And my daughter-in-law is a public school teacher, and 1/3 of her class has a IEP, which is their own program, and there's a and they get those for behavior too. And then there's more than that didn't test out, that don't have anything, that probably need. It's just it's everywhere, right? It just is what it is. All right, this is the most important thing about tonight that I want you to go home with. You, parent, grandparent, aunt, uncle, whatever, the caregiver, foster parent, whatever, you are the most important element for your child's emotional health. Your connection with them. The most, Dr. Daniel Amen with Amen Clinics, I don't know if you've ever heard of him. He's amazing. Look him up. Wonderful podcast. But it says the most effective parenting strategy you can have is spending 20 minutes a day with your child. Not just in the room with them. Do something with them they want to do during this time. You're not commanding them. You're not asking them questions. You're not giving them directions. You're not giving them lectures. You're not giving them reprimands. You're just with them. Y'all, if y'all can't find, I raise kids, so let me just step back if you've got 5 or 6 or 7, 8 kids in your house. But if you can't find 20 minutes a day, y'all may be doing too much. Even if you and your spouse have to rotate some things around. I have gotten older and don't have a lot of filter and raised kids and have grandkids, and sometimes I just say things because I feel like it's the truth, and I feel like if I don't share some of it, I'm going to be accountable for it. I know it's hard. You want your kids to be active in everything. Sometimes they don't need to be active in 2 and 3 and 4 activities, especially if you've got multiple kids and they're eating their suppers in the back seat of the car. Now, I've got 2 grandkids, each doing one thing apiece. You're still busy almost every night of the week if you include church, right? You just do the best you can. That's why that time together with them is so important. There's a term, it's called being a good enough parent, because it just seems, how can I do this? This is just too much. How can I do all the things that's expected with all the demands? There's more demands now. There's more things to do. I mean, every sport in the world's playing at the same time. My grandson's playing flag football right now, and he's got another little boy on his team's playing flag football and baseball. So they're playing something. There's just stuff all the time. And they play all year long. That's different from when I was growing up. We didn't do that. But John Bowlby said that for infants to form a secure attachment which helps them manage life's challenges, a caretaker must fulfill the child's basic needs for food and shelter, but also provide a sense of emotional safety, which is really where I'm going to kind of hang out tonight, and authentic human connection. Now, I see a lot of kids, because I'm with the children's home, and I do see a lot of our foster children, they don't have some of their basic needs met. But I also see a lot of kids that have all those basic needs met, but the emotional safety that they have within the home and with their parents is not there. And a lot of times parents don't even know. They don't realize what their kids are thinking or what they're believing. And so conversations. So, well, a lot of the times the way a parent has responded to them makes them not, well, I can't talk to them. I can't share with them because of the response or the tone that I got back. So you want your kids to be able to feel emotionally safe, which means you can handle. And I'm not saying that there's not going to be some discipline. I'm not saying that you agree, but you love them past the issue and that they can be emotionally safe. Our basic needs, the survival, to sustain life, food, water, roof over their head, food, physical, emotional, and relational safety. Number 2, the basic need is the need for a belonging, connection, affection, to feel loved, to love others, to be loved. You just want to feel like you matter. You do, I do. We just want to feel like we belong. Kids do too. They're not little adults, but they're people, and they want to feel like they belong in the work that we do when we're talking to foster parents, but it works good for all parents. I wish I'd had so much of this a long time ago when I was raising my own. Connection is the important thing. Connection, empowerment, and correction is the triangle that we use. And normally, and I'm guilty, was guilty, we do a whole lot more correcting. Our triangle's upside down. We do way more correcting than we do. We want to do more connection, empowering, and less correcting because the need is less because of the connection. But when we correct, always go back with connection, and I'll touch on that in just a second too. Like I said, I know I'm flying. That's why I gave you the PowerPoint. Kids do need, they need a little bit of power, not control. You're still in control. You have to learn how to be in control. Give them some control, but you're still in control. You can have 2 choices. You can do this, you can do that. You can choose to go in here and clean off the table, or you can choose to go to bed 30 minutes early, or you can choose to lose TV 30 minutes. They're still making a choice, but you're still in control. And there's something, and y'all can write this down, it's called Gary Landra's Oreo cookie theory, and you can find it on YouTube. And this is a great story and explanation, especially for giving kids choices. Because kids need to learn that there's a consequence for behavior and their choices, and they need to learn it very young because they don't need to be trying to make those decisions when they're 16 behind the wheel of a car. And the thing that I see so much of now is kids will not, and parents and adults too, nobody wants to take responsibility. It's always somebody else's fault. Well, the coach didn't coach good tonight. That's why y'all didn't. I heard this the other night. You had to, oh no, let me get my plug. I thought it had a full charge. I do have one, sorry. Huh? Yes. I just pulled it out of here, y'all. You don't see it on the table, do you? Okay. This is what happens when you go live. You did see me here. Okay. Where's an outlet? Right here. I plugged it up earlier today. I guess I didn't get it turned off. I heard this the other night, and I kind of felt myself go in there too, but this is a good example. The other night at flag football, 7 and 8 year olds, it's serious. But their normal coach in that age, the coach passes the ball if they want to. They can't let the kids do it, but the coach does. So the normal coach was not there, and the guy that was he was not doing a very good job. He wasn't hitting the kids. He just was having a really off night, and they lost, and they don't normally lose. And as they were coming off the field, they were just, and I heard, well, it's not y'all's fault. Coach couldn't throw tonight. Coach wasn't here. It may have been true, but, you got to learn to be a little bit disappointed. Kids have got to learn that they're responsible for the choices that they make. And so they can start learning it young. Not, if you don't go make that bed up, you're going to bed 30 minutes earlier. You say it differently. You can choose to make your bed up, or you can choose to go to bed 30 minutes earlier. I'm saying the same thing, but I'm putting it as you're making the choice to do it. They'll get it after a while if you're consistent. It is a great video to watch. That's where they need some little bit of power, to feel empowered, to feel capable, to feel confident. Let them step out and make a few mistakes. I think that's another thing that I see, kind of a helicopter parent situation. Nobody wants to see their kids fail, but sometimes we need to let them try hard things within that we think they can do. They need to know they can do some hard things and that they can control. It gives them confidence. It helps them feel accomplished. I have one of our foster moms told me, and one of her foster sons is in the 9th grade this year, and he's really, really struggling because I'm not going to get political. This just is what it is. If they have an IEP, usually they're passing them through whether they have the grade or not. So that's why you've got kids in the 9th grade that can't read, right? So he's actually in a school, he's changed now that they're a little bit more accountable, but we found out that up until this point, his special teachers have been doing his work. They did his work for him. And so now that he is in a different school system, and they're happening to be accountable, they're making him be somewhat accountable. He will still not fail. He's really struggling. We need to let them do hard things sometimes. We need to let them, we're not helping them any by doing everything for them or running up to the school and fixing every problem. If there's a problem, fix it. But sometimes we just need to kind of let kids, let it play out, not fix everything for them. And I know that was hard. I was a mama bear. I still am. I'm a grandmama bear. Take a deep breath and step back. They need to have a little independence. It's hard, I know. All right, freedom within a secure, safe, and reasonable boundaries. That's actually really hard because there's just not a lot of places that are safe, right? This is my favorite because I am a play therapist. And yes, it works. There's lots of kind of play therapy. But even in your home, the best connection, the best being with, is just play. You can be silly, 5 or 10 minutes, play. Some of you may not know how to play, and I know that because I have parents coming into my office and they don't know how to play. I'm sitting down doing therapy with them, just kind of showing them how to play. Some of you are probably really good at play. Ask them what they want to do. Sit with them. I don't know how old your kids are. If they're little, they'll tell you. Most of the time, they'll tell you what to do. If there's teenagers, play a card game. Listen to the kind of music that they want to listen to within reason, if it's okay. Learn how to have fun and how to play with your kids. Play also brings safety. If your kids are kind of afraid of you, healthy fear, but if they really are afraid of you or they don't feel like, oh, my dad could never, look back. Now, some of you may not have had these kind of childhoods, so I understand you come from what you come from, and everybody comes and they bring what they have. But if you did have opportunity, I know that my grandsons love, and I love to hear my granddaddy tell stories. I love my daddy to tell stories. My grandsons love to hear us tell stories. They're not long. They're silly, and they want you to tell the same one over and over. Like, Pop, tell us the time the teacher put the belt around you and your friend because y'all were fighting and y'all had to stay belted. You couldn't do that now, but you could stay belted together until you were friends. And tell us about the time when you were in kindergarten and y'all were in the elevator and it got stuck and they had to come get you out 100 times. Tell them stories. Play with them. You're tired at the end of the day. I'm tired at the end of the day. I didn't play with my kids as much as I should have. I know that. And I've learned that's why you get a do-over when you get to be a grandparent. Nothing matters. I don't care if my house is dirty anymore. If they want to play, I'm going to play Candyland. And it's hard after I've played it 100 times a day. And they want Dee Dee to play going on a bear hunt. But try to take some time every day to be with your kid and play with your kid. That's what's going to build this emotional safety and connection that they need, that when they, and home needs to be their safe place. When they come home, they've been in a battle all day of just the world and school and demands and just what they're having to be exposed to, and bullying and mean girls and mean boys, and I got to fit in here. And it starts early. I mean, it starts when they start school, kindergarten. It starts. Home needs to be a safe place. You want home to be a safe place for them. You don't want them to be searching for it. I loved my house being the house everybody came to. One day when my son came home from school, from college, Thanksgiving, when he came back home, I had come home from work and there was all these cars lined up at my house. And I recognized most of the kids had come back and somehow they ended up at my house. The ones, from coming back, the first time they'd all seen each other since the summer. So I was getting out and I was going in, and we had an older man in our neighborhood, and we used to call him the mayor of Paradise Acres because he rode around checking everything out, which was good. We later found out it's the only place he could smoke. He had to get in the car and smoke and go around. But he knew if something was out of line, and he stopped and he rolled down the window and he said, "Did someone pass?" I said, "No, nobody passed. I just got a bunch of kids at my house, and I love it, and I don't care." After they've been gone, it is a lot louder when they come home, though. It's very loud. Connection, so important. It builds trust, accountability, and emotional insight in your child. Focus on what your child needs instead of what you want or what you want your child to become. Whew. Keeping a loving connection, guidance instead of control. When we try to control somebody, we close our hearts to who that person is. I know none of y'all do, but I see a lot. A parent is trying to make the kid be what they want them to be, whether it be an athlete or the star student. Figure out, as long as you're doing their best, that they're being who God created them to be. Oh, there's something I was going to say here. Let me say this here because I can't remember if I put it on another slide. When your kid comes to you and is sharing something, a way of connecting, is you don't try to fix it. They don't really want you to fix it. They just want you to hear them. How many of us, I know, go home and blah, 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 and, husband tries to fix it. It's like, I don't want you to fix it. I just want you to hear me. I just want you to hear me. I just want you to validate. Have y'all heard that? Just hear me. A lot of times they just need to be heard, and as parents, especially moms, we want to fix it. But gosh, I hate that. Is there anything, I can do to help, or you just need to talk about it? A lot of times they just want to talk about it, and if you try to fix it all the time, they're going to quit telling you because they don't want to hear it. They don't want to hear your words. Side note, I'm going to run this real quick. I could have done this as a handout, but I probably should have, but I just put it in here. Things your children notice. Eye contact when you listen. Look at them when you're talking to them. If they're little, get on their level. Don't tower over them. Warm greetings each day. Hugs at last. Shared smile. Gentle corrections. Hearing, I'm proud of you. Your reactions to their stories. Attention when they say, I love you. Putting your phone away. I'm guilty. Well, try not to be anymore, but I see it even with my kids. And it's like, your kids are talking to you, put your phone down. Because you don't even realize how it sucks you in. Put these things down. It's not just the kids that have a problem with it, it's us. I'm passionate about that. Can you tell? Keep your promises. Don't make it if you're not going to keep it. Say what you mean what you say. Oh, we'll go to the park tomorrow when I get home. Oh, gosh, I'm too tired. Y'all, don't make promises you can't keep. You are very well intentioned. I was very well intentioned. But don't ever make it in a promise. Because you just told them they can't trust you. Asking what they really think about something. Laughing at their jokes. Being silly without judgment. That's a big one. They love it. Comfort when they're sad. Bedtime stories are wonderful connections. Prayer time. Noticing their small victories. Saying thank you. How you celebrate them. And smiles after mistakes. Don't want to hang up on that. Got that one. Patience in tough moments. Encouragement to try again. Listening without rushing. Remembering the little details. Words of kindness. Playtime together. Helping them feel safe. Celebrating. Effort, not just wins. Gentle touch and presence. Respecting their feelings and believe in them. Sometimes, I'm not even ahead on here where I had my notes. Sometimes when you tell a kid something, and I've noticed this with a lot of the foster children, but I also now notice it even with one of mine. It's just one of the foster kids come in with so many deficits, but a lot of times, not all the time, they're very resilient. And when they get in a good situation, they just blossom. But a lot of times, some kids are just a little bit slower to process. And it just may be a few seconds, which seems like an eternity to you. Sometimes when you tell a child something or you ask them something and they just go, they may not be being disobedient. Sometimes some kids have a harder time. They process it slower, or they may not understand. So listen without rushing. I love that. And that could mean something else, but that brought to my memory for you to understand they could be processing a little bit slower. Okay, parenting style, see where you are. Now, I will be honest with you that I thought I was an authoritative parent most of the time, but I look back and a lot of the time I was an authoritarian. And all that brings is low emotional support, boundaries. It creates sneakiness, it creates rebellion, it creates low self-esteem, it creates lack of confidence. It's my way or the highway. You're still in control. I'm not saying be a passive parent. There's just a way to go about it. But the gold standard is being authoritative, which means you do have the control. You do have boundaries. You are consistent. You have to have consistency and boundaries. Very, very important. But you also are high warmth and not rigid. A lot of times that comes out when you're tired too. A lot of ways, listen, a lot of us were raised that way. Like it or not, whether you're your biological kids right now, they are living in a different world. Their brains are being affected by so many different things that are environmental, not just what's going in their brains from what they're seeing and doing, but how it's affecting their brains, right? They don't see discipline at school. It's not allowed. And each kid's different. If you've got more than one kid, they're going to all respond differently, right? One I could look at the wrong way. If he thought I was halfway sideways with him, the other one I could have beat till he was black and blue, and he was going, that didn't hurt. Every kid's different. You have to see what your kid responds to. Remember this. What's my end goal in this right now? Am I just trying to win this battle and prove that I'm right and you're going to listen to me because I'm a parent and I know right and you're just going to have to learn blah, 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 blah? That's more punitive they need to learn through that. You don't have to win every battle. They need to be respectful. They need to learn how to be respectful. They need to learn the rules. But I'm saying you don't have to be a tyrant and throw the axe down for them to be that way. It produces fear, but I also know, because I know what I'm hearing in my office, it produces rebellion and sneakiness. Past permissive parenting, they can just do whatever they want to. Low control, weak boundaries. Kids thrive and feel safe with boundaries. Involved, neglectful parenting, low control, low warmth, no boundaries. That's not just kids that are taken out of their homes. That's a lot of biological parents who are providing some of the basic needs, but they're not there. Whatever. They're not there, Your kids don't need another friend. They got plenty of friends. They need a parent. The helicopter parent. I have any teachers in here? Yeah, do y'all get to deal with some helicopter parents?
They do. They're admin.
Do they protect y'all? Helicopter parenting. Every time something, well, my daughter-in-law's a teacher, and I know, their kids never do. They're coming up there, they're fixing it, get more accommodations. The kids are not learning how to fix things on their own or make choices because they've always had that. Overprotective may not be the right word there, but over-involved. My son's, no, we're far enough away, nobody will know. My son's best friend had, very loving parents, but she was a helicopter parent. He came home at Christmas. Honest to goodness, I don't think he could have ordered a pizza by himself. I mean, that was just a disservice to him. We're not helping these kids by doing everything. I know I'm not talking to any of y'all, but that was part of my stuff. All right. We may find ourselves in these right now, and times have changed. I was watching yes, I am showing my age. There's nothing on television if we're not watching sports, right? So we get hooked on a show and just kind of stay on it for a while. And when I tell you this, I would never thought my husband would have ever, but we are into Leave It to Beaver right now, and we have watched all the seasons a multitude of times. But it's really good just to come home. You don't have to worry about anything being said. It's funny. It's just kind of takes you back to a time that just feels, okay, so I don't care. We're watching it. But I saw one today. There's really a lot of good lessons in Leave It to Beaver, by the way. A lot of good lessons in Leave It to Beaver. But one of them, let me see. I'll get to that. The criticism and shaming. Harsh discipline and yelling. Regular shouting, name calling, or physical punishment can lead to anxiety, aggression, and poor emotional regulation. I'm not against spanking. That's not what I'm saying. It just needs to be done appropriately, not in anger. Name calling. Watch that. That's easier. Shouting. I know I did. I know I did. More than I should have. I had 3 little boys at the same time. There's no excuse. But there's a lot of noise in homes. There's a lot of chaos with all the TVs and all the kids and all the yelling and all the stuff. It gets my nervous system. Okay. Criticism and shaming. So on Leave It to Beaver, it was on one that I was watching before I left. Wally, I am so ashamed of you. I was like, Gene, you didn't. So much. But I know there's just, if our child does something that is disappointing, I know, that just disappoints me in you. Or I am just so ashamed of you. I know I said it, but y'all, that does a lot of damage. We need to rethink that word. Constantly pointing out flaws or using shame to control behavior erodes self-esteem and fosters internalized guilt. I have a little girl, wonderful family. They have stuff to deal with. They've got 3 kids. They're busy all the time. They've got sickness in the family. She's got a lot of stuff that we're dealing with. But one of the things that we were doing is we were doing an all about me. We were going to post her, and we were going to write down the things, her strengths. And anytime we ever say anything positive about her, she can't hear it. And so I said, well, I think I'm going to write some things down that I think about you that I see when you come in my office. And so we were doing it, and she ran to the bathroom. When she ran to the bathroom, I ran to the waiting room, and I said, hey, can you give me some strengths of your daughter? We're doing a project. And Mom went, I was very surprised, very surprised. And she goes, oh my gosh, this is terrible. And the little brother was there who she fights with all the time, and he rattled off about 4. And it surprised me, but she's so caught up, I think, in discipline and dealing with the problems, and honestly just probably very aggravated with her, because she's just a kind of an aggravating little girl. I'll tell you, she pushes my buttons when she comes in my office. I have to for 45 minutes. I get it, but in that moment, that mom realized I'm, I can't name any. More aware of that now. Trying to find that. Think about that for you right now. This is it. Inconsistencies and unpredictability. Try to be as good. Sometimes things come up and you can't do them. But if that's the majority of the time, it's not good. Try to be as consistent as you can. Kids need that. It helps them to feel safe. Over control and micromanaging, dictating every aspect of a child's life. Hobbies, friendships, academic choices. Making children choose sides. I don't know if that's out here, but I do see that sometimes. If there's a situation where there's break in the family, try not to make kids feel like they have to choose sides. Dismissing their emotions. You're just overreacting. Don't cry about that. You don't need to feel that way. That's not true. You mean well, but you just dismissed how they feel. That's why I said, man, I hate you're feeling that way. Validate. Don't dismiss. How does that make you feel? Put yourself there. If you're just having a and somebody goes, well, honey, don't feel that way. I just want to punch you. No, I don't want. Don't tell me that. Don't expect your children to take on responsibilities emotionally or practically. It can lead to chronic stress and loss of childhood. One of my daughter-in-law's best friend, let's just say she's in her mid-30s and she's pretty much agoraphobic and can't leave the house. And that's happened because her mother has a mental illness that has pretty much made her feel that she has to take care of her, that it's crippled her own children. I see that more than you think. Lack of repair after conflict. This is another one. It doesn't matter what you've done. It doesn't matter how bad you've messed up. It can be fixed. And when it's fixed, when it's repaired, then your relationship is stronger. People, I've just messed up too bad. I can't fix this. Yes, you can. Yes, you can. You just go in and you just repair it. I didn't handle that right. I'm very sorry. I want to make this right with you. Forgive me. Repair the rupture. I give this story. I was a teenager. I lived a blessed life. I really did. I was the only child. I was a preacher's kid, but I was a good one. I didn't rebel. Because my mom and daddy prayed for me, I know, all the time. And they lived every day what he preached on Sunday. And but one day he came home. I was a teenager. And he'd left a list of things for me to do on the table that I was supposed to have done when he got home. And I didn't have them done. And he lost it. I mean, he didn't hit me or anything, but woo, hair blowing back. And I was just like stunned, like, well, that was a little much for that. I mean, I knew I didn't do it, and I knew I should have been in trouble, but it was not. It hurt me bad. And so he came back a little bit later that night, and he said, "You should have done. I'm not letting you off the hook. You should have done what I had for you to do, and you're going to do them if I hadn't already done them by that point. I don't remember." He said, "But I want to tell you I'm sorry." He said, "I had a bad day, and I came in and I blew up on you, and that wasn't right." Y'all, I'm 60 years old, and I still remember that. Being authentic. He's done that once since I was an adult. he said something and it didn't really set well, and he had no idea. And he said, I was insensitive. He came back, but I think it was the next day. He said, when I said that, I did not mean to be hurtful, but I realize now what I said was insensitive to what you're going through right now. Repair the rupture. It can be done. Just do it. Quick. Quickly, what's the difference between discipline and punishment? I don't like the word punishment. Discipline is, and the goal is to help the child understand what went wrong and how to make it right. If you discipline a child when they do something right, the goal is to correct the behavior, but also to teach them. It focuses on teaching, repairing, and restoring. Your tone needs to be calm, empathetic, and constructive. Now, sometimes it needs to be firm. Depends on what the act is. Sometimes it can be like, a little light. Hey, you want to try that again? Because the goal is to get the behavior changed, so we don't need to go in with all our guns on a minor offense. Because if you go in with all your guns on a minor offense, it's going to blow up quick. If it's something that you can just be a little lighthearted about and get it corrected, fine. Something that they're having trouble with, be a little bit more firm, and you may have to help them. Like, I think you're having trouble. Do you need for me to give you a choice? Do you need for me to tell you what you need to say or how you need to say or what you need to do? It builds trust, accountability, and emotional insight. Punishment stops unwanted behavior through discomfort or fear. It gets them compliant. But what has it produced? Has it produced any change? Is it produced in them to want to do the right thing? Usually it leads to shame, fear, rebellion, sneakiness, and resistance. Okay, real quick, you're going to see these repeat some things. I'm not going to go over all these. Gary Landreth rule of thumb. This is what I teach in some of the parenting classes. Be the thermostat, not the thermometer. That means no matter what's going on, you need to stay right here. But it's 70 degrees. It's 100 outside. Whatever. You're going. The thermostat in the house is going to be at 70, right? Being a thermometer means when your kid escalates, you escalate. They escalate, you escalate. They don't have the capacity to be the thermostat, and it's not their job to be you're the grown-up. You may not have the capacity, but you got to keep it right here when they're escalating. I promise they're going to match you. They will come back down. I see it every day. I do it every day. What's most important may not be what you do, but what you did after what you do after what you did. Rupture the repair. I think that's just so important. This is another good one. Number 5, when a child is drowning, don't try to teach him to swim. Your kid falls in the water, he doesn't know how to swim. You're not going to start trying to teach him how to swim. You're going to get him out of the water. Then we're going to go learn how to swim. If your kid's having a meltdown, you can't deal with an irrational child. You can't teach them and tell them all the things they did with you got to get them calm, get them out of the water, and then you teach them. Love this. If you can't say it with 10 words or less, don't say it, because they check out on word 11. Yes, well. They check out on word 11. Lectures, they know how to sit there and listen, just like you gentlemen know how to sit there and listen and answer us appropriately, and you have no idea what we said. But my husband does that all the time. I say, how do you answer me? But you can't tell me what I just said. They check out. Lectures don't work there. But it really makes you think about what you're needing to say. 10 words or less. That takes work. I put that down twice. Encourage the effort rather than the praise. It's okay to say, I'm so proud of you. I'm so proud of you. You're so good. You're so smart. Those are good things. But when you do that a lot, sometimes the kid thinks that's all their value is worth. We need to remember we need to be praising their effort, so we do know we're praising if it's the best they can do and it's not an A. Don't try to change everything at once. Where there are no limits, there is no security. That's the boundaries that we talked about. The next ones I'm just going to hit real quick. There was a few I put stars by. What's important is not what the child knows, but what they believe. Like I said, we call it felt safety. You know your kid's physically safe. You know your kid's safe is going to have all the needs met. You may even think that they're emotionally safe. Sometimes kids don't know that. They may think, well, if I tell them that, they're going to they're going to blow up at me. When really they're probably not, but it's not what they know, it's that they believe they can't, that they can't. So you need to know what they really believe and talk to them. Wouldn't believe how many times I hear, if I get a bad grade, I'm really going to get in trouble. I'm really going to get in trouble. Well, have we talked to mom and dad about that? Now, sometimes that's the truth. Sometimes that is the truth. But a lot of times, a lot of the things that kids and teenagers think their parents are thinking or what they think they're expecting out of them, it's not really what the parents are expecting. I've had them come in a lot of times and say, can we come in and can we talk about this together? And the kid says, or I help the kid say, and the parent goes, no, honey, that's not true. That's not what we think. That's not what we would do. I guess they're telling the truth. I'm just saying sometimes you don't know what your kid believes. Okay. This is a good one. I'm a reactor. If it happens, I react. Something's wrong, I want to fix it. And I don't like to wait because I have anxiety. But sometimes you just need, when you're unsure of what to say to your child, that's number 14. If you're reacting out of anger or out of an emotion, you know you are, it's okay to take a second. If you can't say the right thing or the good thing, or you don't know what to say, it's okay sometimes just to walk away and say, I need a minute because I want to make sure. I didn't do that too much. I try to be better about that now. It's okay. I need time to cool off. And I'm going to come, you do have to come right back to it. You have to come back to it when you cool off. But if you don't know what to say and you're just going to blah, 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 you need to take a minute. Nothing is more important than your relationship with your child. Okay, I'm not going to hang up on this a lot because Laura's going to do this. When we're talking about emotional health and brain health, I told you it's not just the junk that's going in here, it's what it's doing to the brain. The light, the blue light, I mean, especially the last thing at night, you need at least an hour off this, at least. If you're looking at it before you go to bed, if they're playing games before they go to bed, really even watching television, it's going to affect their sleep. This goes into why, and like I said, I've got it here. I don't want to get into any of that stuff because I don't know. What hurts is more about social media, but it does affect your sleep. Excessive screen time floods the brain with fast-moving images, overstimulating the visual cortex. This can weaken development of the auditory cortex, which is key for language and social skills. I have seen kids' personalities completely change. If they're being angry and disrespectful, get them off the screen for a couple of weeks and see what happens. Not only the screen time is what they're doing on the screen a lot of times. It impairs executive function. It's creating a lot of ADD because I know when my kids were growing up, we didn't have all this. So they would sit down and watch a Disney movie, right? They'd watch it. I can't get my grandkids to sit down and watch anything because they're doing this all the time. And the little YouTubes and the little YouTube kids where they may be okay, but they're just very short. I heard something the other day about Cocomelon, that they actually do research, and when they're doing the Cocomelon, which is cute and it's all, but when they see a kid they cut it out. They don't want anything in there that's not moving or that's going to keep them like that all the time. We're creating kids not being able to focus. Activates the brain's reward system, immediate satisfaction, and it does limit creativity and imagination. It doesn't need to, look, I'm not opposed to it. It doesn't need to be your babysitter. Developmentally, you can look up for each kid what the age, however many hours, and look, I know my grandkids are on them more than you should be. I know that. Okay, got a few more minutes. I don't know. Did Michael Bozeman come and speak to y'all about anxiety? No?
He came during Sunday school probably about 2 months, 3 months ago.
Did he do anxiety? Is that what he did? Okay. I know that he just got through doing this at Lindsay Lane, and this was one of the books that he talked about. And like I said, I don't, if Laura doesn't say, but it's called The Anxious Generation. And that's what do you see most in your office? Anxiety. anxiety. Kids are having, active shooter drills. They're having just a lot of stuff, but it just talks about the anxious generation. But this is really cool. It says parents are beginning to say no. I don't know what it is in your area, but in our area, they've banned cell phones in the classroom this year. And good. This is the recommendations. No smartphones before high school. Look, if they're driving, give them a flip phone. We survived without one. Some of y'all in here probably didn't. Most of us. Look, I was glad that my kids, this was coming around, was not as big a thing when they were, but I do remember before Jordan, when he's 15, I guess he got probably his first phone. Didn't have all the stuff that it had now. Look, I'm glad. I love the convenience of it, but they don't need a smartphone. But no smartphone. This is a recommendation before high school. No social media until 16. Smartphones are being banned in schools and promoting more free play. And I am just in the last couple of months am actually seeing, without any recommendation of my own, I'm seeing people say enough is enough. We're taking these things, but they're addicted to them, so it's not going to be good the first week or so. It's not. Social media. Okay, there's some good things for you to have. Then again, like I said, I want to get on her stuff. I don't know what she's doing. But here are some blogs for dangerous apps. This is ever-changing. But you can get on these websites here. I don't know if any of y'all have ever heard of the Bark phone. It's a phone a lot of parents use to protect their kids. I saw some things here I don't know. I actually saw this. I heard about this app called T yesterday. Have any of y'all heard about T? It's an app where people basically can go on to bully, but it's with usernames. Anyway, it's pretty much online bullying. You don't know who it is. What can you do? You can use parental controls and app blockers, set up screen time and rituals, emotional check-ins, safe apps. Okay, y'all, I may be fixing to stir up a can of worms, but I'm just gonna talk about Miss K-pop here. Miss K-pop. Y'all know what K-pop demon hunters are? Okay. So it is a show on Netflix, and I have said I've been doing what I've been doing over 15 years, but officially 15 years out of practicum and actually working. Kids are getting sicker and sicker, younger and younger. I have kids, I have teenagers, and I have adults. I do believe in counseling. I do believe in therapy. I am not, a lot of Christians are anti-counseling. I don't believe all mental illness has to do with the satanic attack, but I do believe some of it does. I do believe a lot of it does. I have people coming in my office. There's no amount of medicine and there is no therapy that's going to fix it. Really, it's not going to fix any of us. Only Jesus is going to fix these problems. But if you don't work with it every day, teachers, y'all are working with it, medical folks are working with it, my mind could not wrap around what I see and hear on a daily basis. I didn't grow up that way. And if you're not around it, you can't imagine. And I hope you never have to. But I believe greater is he that is in me than he that is in the world. I don't have to be afraid, and I'm not just going to sit up and study, but I do need to be aware of the dark forces that are out there. And when these kids in the greatest homes are opening up portals to really bad stuff. If your kids play Roblox, that is a horrible thing that leads to horrible, can lead. If you're going to let them play it, you better sit there and watch it, because it goes into a ton of places you don't want it to go. And portals are being opened up. I have one little girl that came, listen, I didn't even know. I had a little girl that came in. There was a game, Five Nights at Freddy's year ago. Any of y'all ever hear that game? Okay, so that was big. I had a kid then that parents didn't let him play it, but he was having nightmares because kids were talking about it and they were playing it on the playground. So about 3 weeks ago, I had this little girl come in and she started having nightmares, and she had seen this and she watched a trailer of it on Netflix, plus her best friend's having a K-pop party. And I even heard a Christian friend of mine talk about how good it was because the music was so good. And I'm sitting here going, we're deceived. It's demon. It's about demons. It's about a demon hunter. It's on Netflix. There's so many things out there that look so innocent, but they're not. And this is a big one right now. Some of the stuff that I pulled up about this came from secular, not even Christians. Even the secular people are saying the dangers of it cause spiritual confusion. It draws heavily from a Korean shamanism and folklore, including spirits like whatever that is, and Sa, whatever. It says faith-based communities warn that it normalizes the occult themes and promotes self-reliance over spiritual discernments. And there was another TikTok ban that came from it, as a burn trend that came from this. But at the end of K-pop, apparently this demon hunter is half person, half demon, and she goes back. They cast spells. Watch Disney, go in the Disney store. They got spell books. I saw, the Ouija board and spell books in Five Below the other day. It's not innocent, y'all. And I woke up with a headache today because I knew I was going to talk about this because this is a real oppressive time of year. And I don't get headaches. And I just felt like I needed to expose some things that you may not agree with me, and that's okay. That's okay. But I felt like I needed to Satan doesn't hide anymore. He's just real bold. He doesn't try to hide anymore. And he doesn't come with the pitchfork and the horns. He comes in looking very innocent. He's coming in through Disney. He's coming in through all the kids stuff. He's coming in through the music. He's coming in through the games. YouTube Kids, you better sit there and watch it with them, because all that stuff, if you stay on there long enough, something's gonna pop up that you don't want to be there. So it's so funny that I woke up this morning, like, I got a headache. And I started here. Don't say anything about any of this stuff in the spiritual realm in this time of the year, all the blah, 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 blah. And I had a fear come over me. I was like, oh, no. You don't have to agree with me. But I want you, and you don't have to be afraid of it. But be aware. That's why it's so important every day. Multiple times of the day, you need to be praying for your children, praying over your children. Pray through your house. Go through your house. Are there things in your house that you don't need to be there? Maybe so. Pray over their classrooms. I pray over my office, and I usually have music going or scriptures across my little television very low, because there's some stuff that comes in there. And sometimes I could go, oh, do you know this game? I want to show you. This is what I play. Y'all, I let them show me. I need to know. I need to know what they're doing. And it's rough. It looks real innocent, but it's not if you stay there a little bit and watch it. And then you look up. I said, oh, so what's this about? I don't know. I said, well, here, let's pull it up and see. Oh, it's about this, this, and this, and then it's half demon, and it's half this, and it looks like a really cute deer with horns, because they made it into a cartoon. But that's not what it's about. So just be aware. I'd rather be a little fanatical than not enough to protect your kids. There's more stuff about that. Keep up with your kids' slang. It's ever changing. They have certain things, like, they'll be typing if they're on their phone that lets the other person know mama's around, daddy's around, they're watching. Investigate for yourself what they're watching and playing. Our children often reveal in us where we need to grow, wounds that need to be healed, and unresolved things from our childhood. And it's really hard sometimes to be emotionally connected and do some things that maybe we didn't have growing up. Maybe your parent didn't say I love you. Didn't mean they didn't. They just showed it in a different way. But being able to see, if you did, what would you have liked? What did you need? What was it like to be a child? What was it like to be a 15-year-old girl? Remember what it was like to be a 15-year or 16-year-old boy, or wherever your child is. But usually, yeah, I think we all have things in us that we can see where we need to heal from things that came in our childhood. I gave you a bunch of resources here. Everything I've talked about, books, websites. It keeps going on to the next one. Like I say, you're going to be like, but if anything has, of all of this heaviness that I laid out here for you, which was a lot, I know. You got it. You can go back. Oh, I have a little post-it note here of something I was going to say and I didn't. Kids' behaviors, which is, I know, not what we're focusing on, but behavior is a way that a kid communicates, good, bad, whatever it is. It's our job to kind of figure out what they're trying to communicate with whatever behavior it is, and it's hard. And I will give you a little acronym, HALT. I'm going to add HALT: hungry, angry, lonely, tired. If your kid's hungry, if they're angry, if they're lonely, they're tired, and I'll say if they're sick, if they're not feeling good, sometimes they just need a drink of water to get dehydrated. Sometimes their behavior is telling you they're tired. And you have to, you're not going to punish them because they're tired. Sometimes they have an unmet need. They don't know how to express that need. Sometimes a parent's expectation is higher than their child's developmental capabilities. I know I was hard on my first child. I was an only child. I didn't do a whole lot of babysitting. I just expected Jordan to be able to do a whole lot more than he's probably ready to do. And my expectations were high. A child cannot even control their emotion. They don't have any emotional control or impulse control till they're 5 or 6. And the frontal lobe of their brain does not used to be early 20s. Now they're saying 25, 28 sometimes before your brain is fully developed. So maybe we're just, remember, if your kids 2, they're 2. That doesn't mean they get to act like little, crazy folks, but just expectations. Heavy, a lot of stuff. Any questions? No questions. Give yourself grace. Give yourself grace. Parenting is hard. I had to talk about repairing the rupture. I realized it was like, as I went through and learning a lot, a lot of things I didn't have, and training, I was like, oh, screwed my kids up. I told them I'll pay for their therapy. I'm so sorry. But at the end of the day, they knew I loved them. And I know I didn't do a lot of things right. I remember one time, and I had to apologize to my middle son a couple of years ago, and I'll cry thinking about it. He didn't want a big birthday party, and we had just moved, and I said, oh yes, you do want a big birthday party. You want a big birthday party, and you're trying to make new friends, and we're at a new church, and all the family's going to be coming in. Yeah, you really do want, let Mama do this for you. So I had this huge party. And what did he do? He has high anxiety. Didn't really know all that time. He was about in the 2nd grade. And he ran in his room and he wouldn't come out. Well, what am I? I'm totally embarrassed. I've got all these church members here. I've got parents here. I've got family here. And he's acting like this. I provoked every bit of that. He told me he didn't want to party. He has high anxiety. He is to this day. He was completely overwhelmed in that circumstance. And what he had to do to protect himself was to flee to his safe place, his room. Well, of course, you know what I did? I spanked him. And I said, get out there and you will have a good time. Boo! Just being real honest. But I went back to him a few years ago and I said, because the Lord brought that to my heart, because it really bothered me. And there's been other things as well, but that one for sure. It's still, Satan wants to bring that up and attack, condemn me with it. I said, buddy, I was so wrong about that. And I'm so sorry. I should not have done, and I understand that now. And I can't redo it, but all I can do is tell you I'm sorry. And all my boys are about 6'3". And he came over to me and he says, I told you I didn't want to party. And gave me a hug. That's all he said. It's never too late to repair the rupture.